This is your early summer 2022 market update for Athens, Georgia. So hello, I'm Justin Woodall with Woodall Realty Group at EXP, and today I want to kind of tell you what's going on with the market here in Athens and what we're seeing. The biggest question we're getting right now and kind of the buzz around is this market starting to shift? Interest rates have risen significantly, so does that mean that the market's going to change? And so I just want to tell you what we're seeing. I'm not going to go into a lot of numbers today with specifics. I'm just going to tell you generally what we're seeing in Athens, what we saw a couple of months ago and what we're seeing now. So generally speaking, what we've seen is obviously interest rates have risen across the country. As interest rates rise, that translates into higher mortgage payments. And so what has that done? Naturally, there are a few buyers that have either stepped out and said, hey, we're not going to buy right now, or we're not qualified to buy what we want anymore, or we're going to drop down to a lower price point. So we've seen a few buyers exit the market. And if you've seen any of my previous videos or just been around in recent last couple of years, then it's supply and demand. You hear about supply and demand, inventory shortage. And we still have that. The inventory is still short. There's not enough housing, supply and demand. And so what we're seeing now is the demand side of that equation has started to drop a little bit. We're seeing a little bit less demand. So what does that do to supply? Well, we're still not seeing a lot of builders build new houses and new inventory. There's a little bit, not enough for the Athens area. But what the reduced demand has done is allowed houses to sit on the market a little bit longer and allowed that inventory to rise just a little bit. So we're starting to see a few more houses available. And so to translate what I mean by that is, early part of this year, early 2022, we may list a house, and this all varies from, depending on where it's at and the price point, all this is variable. So I'm speaking with a broad brush, but generally speaking, we might list a house and we may have 10, 15, 20 showings in the first weekend, and we may end up with 5, 10 offers on that one house. That is what it looked like early part of the year. That same house today, what we may see is that first weekend, instead of getting 10 or 20 showings, we may get 5 or 6 showings, or possibly 8, or maybe 4. So we're just not getting quite as many showings. And then that also translates to we might get 1 or 2 or 3 offers as opposed to 5 or 7 or 8 or 10 offers. So again, it's the demand has dropped a little bit, but the demand is still there. The inventory is still short, but it is shifting just a little bit. So what does that mean, and how does that relate to you? So if you're a seller, what I believe that means to you is, whereas if we met in January, I'm going to tell you, hey, the last house in your neighborhood sold here. Let's go ahead and push up here because I think we can get it. And we very likely would. What that means today is probably if the last house sold here, I'm probably going to tell you to price it closer to that mark, because if you're up here, you're not going to have as many showings, and you're not as likely to get as many offers. Buyers in today's market are savvy, and so you got to take that into consideration. What I think we're going to see prices do is somewhat level off. Now, again, it's price dependent and location dependent, because we're still seeing some properties where houses are still getting multiple offers. We had one last week bid $30,000 above the list price, and we priced it where the most recent sale was in the neighborhood. So we're still seeing some really high offers come in, but generally speaking, it seems like things are starting to level out. So as a seller, you just want to make sure you really have an agent that really looks at the market and really understands what's going on, so they can advise you on how to price that, so that you do tend to still get the multiple offers and get that push-up effect, as opposed to sitting on the market for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, because we've seen that in instances as well. When a seller goes too high, they sit on the market for a little while, and then either they're reducing their price or somebody's coming in and they're trying to undercut that price. So that's what you need to think about if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, how does this impact you? Well, as a buyer, you may be competing with only 2 or 3 other people, or maybe 1 other person, or possibly nobody else when you make your offer, as opposed to back in January, you would have been competing with potentially 5 or 10 other offers. And if cash comes in, cash is king, so if you're getting financing, you would lose. And so for a lot of you buyers out there that lost offers, and got frustrated, this might be the window for you to jump back in and be able to get the house that you're looking for. So is the market changing? Yes, it's changing a little bit. We're starting to see a little bit of a shift. We'll continue to monitor, continue to keep you updated. I do not see a crash coming. I do not see prices dropping significantly. I do think prices may level off, but again, it's price range dependent and it's location dependent, and every market's different. So if you're thinking about selling, you're thinking about buying, meet with us. We'll zero in on your specific situation and see how we can help you.